We've talked plenty of platinums on this channel, from the unnecessarily difficult to the ridiculously easy, and the fun balance in between. And though some have gotten close, not a single game has hit every checkbox on my list of a perfect platinum. That is, until Ragnarok. The question is, how do they make this platinum so satisfying? First off, the main game and story have to be good. Of course, there are hunters out there that get the platinum to boost their numbers regardless of enjoyment, but the best platinums are the ones you love playing.
Get 'em!
For example, I will never get Man of Medan or the House of Ashes plats, as those games really grind my gears. The characters are wooden and the story is just there. However, when I played The Quarry for Halloween, I knew I was gonna earn those trophies.
Oh, well, this is the bait I just gotta take, Jake.
Because the characters were fun, the dialogue is witty, and the story's actually really compelling. That's the sign of a good platinum, as it all starts with the foundation of a good game. Ragnarok is up for Game of the Year, and yeah, it's good. Santa Monica really doubled down and kept throwing surprises, twists, and turns that I didn't see coming, even though I was theorizing every which way around. I was looking for you! What happened?
Are you?
But where Ragnarok truly shines is its focus on character. I thought God of War 2018 was good, but Ragnarok is great. We've seen the old, tired, gruff guy with a spunky, excited to learn kid a lot. But with these two games, this dynamic is explored in a really compelling and interesting way. If the first game was learning how to work together, Ragnarok is learning how to work apart, which is a natural evolution and a heart-wrenching reality of being a parent. I mean, that's my baby boy, but I have to let him make his stupid decisions. This is important because in order to want to stay 60 hours in a game, you kinda need to like the first 20. The main story uses game mechanics, cinematography, amazing writing, everything at their disposal to bring you on a journey with these characters, to see their arcs all the way through from the main story to the collectibles. And if you have collectibles that aren't fun to get, you're gonna end up with a grindy platinum. And though those are fine within themselves, they usually offer no challenge, become repetitive, and rather boring by the end. Sorry, Star Wars. In order for collectibles to keep interest, they have to provide something to the player that they didn't have before. Pretty much everything you do results in an upgrade, whether that be a material upgrade, a weapon upgrade, an armor upgrade, or a skill upgrade. Favors give context to the realm that you're in, as well as offer insight as to what's happening now in Kratos and Atreus' journey, which results in some of the most iconic moments in the story. More on that later. Artifacts can be sold and displayed proudly. There's challenges and boss battles you've come to expect from a God of War game. And figuring out how to open chests will grant more health, rage, and benefits that help combat. And thus comes one of my few nitpicks. The puzzles in this game aren't really puzzles as much as an I Spy game. I spy a chest, how do I get there? Or I spy a rune, where are the other two? Thus, they aren't exactly challenging and become a smidgen tedious since the hex puzzles are a bit wonky. As you can see, there are a variety of collectibles that give a variety of benefits. Plus, the characters let you know when there's a good time to explore particular areas before moving on with the main story, giving really good insight into the proper pacing of the game and exploration. It's understandable as to why side quests kind of get a bad rap. They're sometimes annoying and gamers don't want to do them, they're usually repetitive or break character at worst, and they seem like a giant waste of time, especially to trophy hunters. Ragnarok's optional content is not there to pad out the runtime, it's there to be a full experience. The fetch quests offer great insight into character or history, and the side quests were some of my favorite parts of the game. Now, in order to explain my point, I'm gonna have to get into specifics. So if you don't want to hear about it, skip to the timestamp. Because how do I talk about the feeling of freeing a jellyfish without without showing this amazing cinematography. But what made it truly special was the dialogue between Kratos and Atreus. The whole time, Atreus is asking why his father would go through all this trouble. In the past, his dad would only do these things because of Atreus, and he would beg him. But now, Kratos is doing it, and he wants to do the extra steps. Atreus asks and doesn't understand. It all comes to a head, literally, as Mimir finally states that Kratos simply wants to spend more time with his son since their time together is limited.
I wish to enjoy the time we have left.
Freeing the jellyfish has nothing directly to do with Odin, and yet it's just as important of a story beat between Kratos and his son as this scene.
We follow your every whim.
But you don't believe in any of it.
And still I follow.
In fact, I'd argue that having done this quest with Atreus, it emphasized all the main story moments afterward, as this was such a bonding experience for them. So when things go awry, the emotional heartbreak is all that more impactful. Oh my god! To think that some of these moments are optional is honestly really ballsy by Santa Monica. It's so weird to think that there are playthroughs where some of the quests or some of the interactions that I cherish the most weren't experienced by everyone who loves this game. Like, you don't even know.
You don't even know!
But it's also what makes these moments special. It's that they are missable. None of the trophies, just these experiences. As much as we love Kena, she proved that as good as your story is, if the challenge of the plot is unwarranted, it can really sour one's experience. Thankfully, there is no difficulty trophies here, opting for a set-your-own-challenge approach to the game. Therefore, changing the settings to story may make you feel like a God of War, but it might not give you the satisfaction of a God of War. Because if you loved the Valkyries in the first game, there is an equivalent here. Each boss offers something different in terms of attacks and patterns that really keep you on your toes and challenge you to think differently each time you decide to take up the mantle, as well as the Crucible, a series of challenges in Muspelheim, which is a lot more concise than its predecessor. This would constitute as the only repetitive section of the game, as it asks you to repeat particular challenges, but I appreciated the option to complete something I was good at quickly versus more of the same, or worse, difficult for difficulty's sake. Though I would say overall this game is harder than the first, as there are just way more bosses and tougher encounters, but I still spent way more time on the Valkyrie Queen in 2018 than any one fight in Ragnarok.
I have these pains in my chest, and I just know it's her fault, that bitch.
That doesn't mean they will be easy. Thankfully, the game does have free roam, so there are no missable trophies or collectibles, making it heavily recommended to return to these challenges when you're better equipped, like with a resurrection stone, which I didn't use for the entirety of my playthrough.
Glad to take that off your hands.
Why? 'Cause I'm an idiot. I did not fully realize how they worked, so let me quickly explain.
There is too much. Let me sum up.
If you use a res stone during a battle and end up dying anyway, it does not use up that resurrection stone because it's not canon that you died. Instead, it just resets from before the fight and you still have the stone in your possession. It's only if you use it and win the battle that it does vacate your inventory. Since it's one use only, I thought even in failure, it was gone. Don't look at me. I was so stupid. Obviously, everything stated so far are the main components of a playthrough and the enjoyment therein. It all comes down to time commitment and the enjoyment of said time. However, there are platinums that really go above and beyond. There are plenty of things that I thought I would get rewarded for, i.e. leveling up a weapon, collecting all the runic attacks, or completing a skill labor, but nope, those are just for you. Instead of focusing combat, the trophies are more focused on character moments, like Kratos petting his dogs. How sweet is that? I won't spoil how you get here, but I will say it's earned, it's beautiful, and for Santa Monica to punctuate it with a trophy is really sweet. It shows how much they care for the players who do everything. And I mean everything. There are plenty of interactions, boss battles, and essential story bits that I found but wasn't led there by trophies or side quests. Just little hints in the dialogue or the lore that I picked up, little details that stood out and led me to try something or go somewhere and just see what happens. And holy crap, I can't believe some of these things aren't trophies. Platinums usually lead you to these things, as devs are excited to share the secrets of their game. But where other games simply allow their players to clean up anything they miss, Ragnarok encourages the player, as the story doesn't end with the credits. And no, I'm not talking about the secret ending. No, dear viewer. There are crucial and interesting story bits happening well after the game is done, and some of them will be missed if you strictly follow the trophy guide. I was well into my 55th hour of the plat and still getting surprised, still stumbling on a new interaction or being rewarded for going back home when I just wanted to visit my house. This is what makes platinum hunting so fun, finding these details that would otherwise have been missed. The devs hope you'll see the realms to the end, but there's no way of knowing. I mean, I guess you could assume like 5% of your people would, but to put this much effort for those 5% of your sales? Like, what? By the way, congratulations. Go PlayStation! There's also the incredible detail that the platinum and all that you've done to earn it is canon to the characters and the story. We did free all the Valkyries, traversed the maze in Niflheim, climbed Muspelheim's mountain. Every collectible and optional thing there was to do in God of War was actually done by the characters. Meaning, if you didn't do it as a player, you kind of missed out on the story. If you're a completionist or not, Ragnarok has a lot to offer. And maybe this will be your first platinum, a great beginner option, honestly, as it respects your time, is beneficial the whole way through, and has a good amount of challenge. This is what makes a perfect platinum. Yes, I wish there were more puzzles, but what Santa Monica did instead made getting the 100% vastly more interesting, as there was always something to discover and experience. Until there wasn't. And all we can do is appreciate the time that we had when we were playing as Kratos and Atreus.